If you love classic cinema, cult hits, and nostalgic deep dives into Hollywood's weirdest corners, you've landed in the right galaxy. Today we're blasting off into the wonderfully wacky world of 1960s sci-fi, where rubber aliens, outrageous plots, and low-budget space missions ruled the silver screen. We've handpicked the top 14 cheesiest sci-fi space movies from the era. So bad they're amazing. Whether you're a fan of vintage classics or just here for the laughs, you're going to love this list. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, hit that button now and join us for weekly movie journeys into the strange, the forgotten, and the unforgettable. Let's get into it. 1. Plan 9 from Outer Space, 1959. The granddaddy of cheesy space flicks. Imagine this. The universe is in trouble because humans have discovered the secret to destroying all life, and the aliens are not happy about it. So what do these extraterrestrials do? They hatched the most outrageous plan ever, Plan 9, to bring the dead back to life and stop humanity's madness. Zombies rise, flying saucers buzz clumsily, and the acting, well, let's just say it's memorably awkward. Directed by Ed Wood, the king of campy sci-fi, this movie is the ultimate, so bad it's good experience. From wooden dialogue to inexplicable props, hello, flying saucer that looks like a frisbee, Plan 9 has earned its cult classic status as the cheesiest space invasion story you'll ever enjoy. Whether it's the unconvincing makeup or the plot twists that make zero sense, this film is a must-watch for anyone who loves their sci-fi with a hefty side of fun and nostalgia. If you want to start your cheesy space movie marathon with the legendary classic, Plan 9 from Outer Space is your launchpad. Buckle up for a wildly entertaining ride into sci-fi history. 2. Robinson Crusoe on Mars, 1964. A cheesy space survival adventure. Imagine getting stranded alone on Mars with nothing but your spacesuit and a stubborn attitude. That's exactly what happens to astronaut Commander Shepard in Robinson Crusoe on Mars. After a catastrophic crash landing, Shepard has to channel his inner castaway, turning the red desert into his new home. Armed with little more than duct tape and determination, he battles sandstorms, hostile alien creatures, and the loneliness of space. Along the way, he befriends a mysterious alien creature with big eyes and even bigger heart, because even in the 60s, space needed some extra cheesy charm. With its quirky special effects, low-budget sets, and a plot that feels like a mashup of Swiss Family Robinson and Lost in Space, this movie is a perfect slice of 60s sci-fi cheese. It's all about survival, friendship, and making the best out of a cosmic mess. Just don't expect too much realism, because this Mars is as wild and weird as a Saturday afternoon cartoon. 3. Village of the Giants, 1965. Imagine this. A sleepy small town suddenly overrun by a gang of rebellious teenagers who mysteriously grow to giant size, like literally towering over buildings and cars. Village of the Giants takes the classic teens versus adults trope and cranks it up to an absurd, gigantic level. With rubbery oversized props, awkwardly acting giants, and a soundtrack straight out of a bubblegum pop album, this movie is pure cheesy camp gold. The plot? Well, it's basically a group of teens who rebel against authority, but the sci-fi twist is that a strange growth formula makes them gigantic, turning the town into their playground and a chaotic battleground for grown-ups trying to keep control. The effects are charmingly low budget, the acting is as stiff as a robot, and the giant teens stomp around like they're on a sugar rush. If you're into giant monster movies but instead of monsters, you get giant hippie teens with silly dialogue and wacky dance scenes, Village of the Giants is a must-watch. It's one of those films where the cheesiness is the real star, making it a perfect pick for anyone who loves campy sci-fi from the 60s. 4. The Angry Red Planet, 1959. Imagine this. A brave crew of astronauts lands on the mysterious surface of Mars, only to find a world straight out of a psychedelic fever dream. The Angry Red Planet takes cheesy sci-fi to the next level with its unforgettable use of the cinemagic process, a bizarre red tint that floods every Martian scene and gives the planet an eerie, otherworldly glow. From giant tentacled monsters to strange, plant-like creatures that look more like Halloween decorations, the special effects here are gloriously low budget, Think papier-mâché aliens and wobbly monster suits. The dialogue is packed with dramatic warnings about the dangers of space exploration, delivered in perfectly over-the-top 1950s-style earnestness. The astronauts battle sandstorms, face off against bizarre creatures, and struggle to survive a planet that seems downright hostile, but all with an undeniable charm that's impossible to take too seriously. It's the kind of movie that's perfect for a late-night watch with friends, a bucket of popcorn, and plenty of laughs at the outrageous science and effects. The Angry Red Planet isn't just a cheesy movie. It's a campy time capsule that captures the wild imagination and earnest ambition of early space sci-fi, when filmmakers dared to dream big, even if their budget said otherwise. 5. Queen of Outer Space, 1958. The campy cosmic caper. Picture this. A starship full of rugged space explorers crash lands on a distant planet ruled entirely by women, and these ladies are led by none other than Zsa Zsa Gabor, rocking a shiny silver space bikini like it's the height of intergalactic fashion. Welcome to Queen of Outer Space, a dazzlingly cheesy sci-fi romp that's part space opera, part campy comedy, and all kinds of delightfully absurd. The story kicks off when Captain Lee and his crew crash on Venus, only to discover the planet is a matriarchal society where men have been mysteriously banished. The planet's beautiful queen and her court are under threat from an evil villain with a shiny helmet and ridiculous evil schemes to conquer the galaxy. Our heroic Earthlings must team up with the Venusian women, battle laser guns, and survive rubber-suited monsters, all while delivering some of the most hilariously dated dialogue ever put on film. What really makes Queen of Outer Space a highlight of the cheesy 60s sci-fi era is its joyful embrace of camp, from over-the-top performances to flashy, low-budget costumes and sets that look like a disco exploded on the bridge of a spaceship. Zsa Zsa Gabor's star power adds a glamorous yet tongue-in-cheek vibe, making this movie both ridiculous and oddly charming. It's a perfect example of how 1960s sci-fi didn't take itself too seriously. It was all about space-age fun, bizarre alien politics, and wild imagination with a wink. So if you're in the mood for a retro space adventure that's equal parts goofy and entertaining, Queen of Outer Space is your ticket to ride. 6. The Creation of the Humanoids, 1962. Imagine a future where humans are so scared of war and destruction that they build lifelike robots, humanoids, to keep peace for them. Sounds like a pretty smart plan, right? Well, The Creation of the Humanoids takes that idea and turns it into a bizarre low-budget sci-fi drama that's dripping with cheesy charm. Set in a post-apocalyptic Earth where humans are on the brink of extinction, this film dives headfirst into the age-old question: what does it mean to be human? The humanoids, perfectly crafted robot replicas, are designed to keep order, but the twist is that many humans actually hate them, blaming them for society's collapse. What really makes this movie a classic cheesy gem are the stiff acting, wooden robot costumes, think less Terminator, more papier-mâché, and dialogue that's equal parts philosophical and unintentionally hilarious. The humanoids' slow robotic movements and monotone voices add an extra layer of campy fun. Despite the low budget and odd pacing, The Creation of the Humanoids stands out for tackling big ideas about identity and prejudice, just wrapped in a cloak of 1960s sci-fi cheesiness. It's a must-watch for anyone who loves their space movies with a side of vintage weirdness. 7. Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women, 1968. A campy cosmic adventure. Strap in for one of the cheesiest space escapades ever made in the 1960s. Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women is a wild, low-budget trip that combines astronauts, alien jungle princesses, and prehistoric monsters, all served with a generous helping of camp and kitsch. The story kicks off with the team of astronauts blasting off to a mysterious planet that's basically Earth's cousin, but somehow stuck in a prehistoric era. What's waiting for them? A bizarre mix of glowing jungle creatures, oversized reptiles, and most importantly, the planet of prehistoric women, a tribe of statuesque alien ladies who seem frozen in time. Despite their advanced space gear, the astronauts find themselves utterly outmatched by the planet's strange environment, especially when they meet these prehistoric women, who communicate mostly through flirtatious glances and cryptic, mystical gestures. The special effects? Think bright-colored smoke, obvious plastic monsters, and model sets that look like a school play gone sci-fi. What really seals the cheesy deal is the movie's slow pace, melodramatic music, and awkward dialogue lines delivered with all the sincerity of a serious drama but dripping in 60s sci-fi camp. Add in a few scenes where the prehistoric women emerge from waterfalls or swing on vines, and you've got a recipe for pure cheesy entertainment gold. Whether you watch it to laugh at the absurdity or simply marvel at how far special effects have come, Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women is a shining example of the playful, quirky charm that makes 60s sci-fi space movies so much fun to explore. 8. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, 1964. The ultimate cheesy space holiday classic. Imagine this. It's Christmas time, but on Mars, the Martian kids are feeling seriously down. Why? Because they've banned Santa Claus. Yep, the Martian adults don't believe in joy or holiday spirit, leaving their little ones sad and bored on the red planet. So what do? They hatch a plan to kidnap the real Santa Claus from Earth and bring him to Mars to spread Christmas cheer. Enter our Earth heroes, 2 Martian emissaries who travel all the way to Earth, capture a surprisingly jolly Santa Claus, and beam him back to the dusty red Martian landscape. Of course, chaos ensues. The Martian leader, played with delightfully over-the-top camp by John Call, tries to stop the festivities, while Santa works his merry magic to bring happiness back to the planet. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians is a perfect storm of cheesy sci-fi tropes and holiday kitsch. From hilariously stiff acting and wooden dialogue to low-budget sets featuring oversized Martian helmets and goofy alien costumes, this movie delivers a joyful blast of campy fun that's so bad it's so good. It's got everything: space travel, alien abductions, childlike wonder, and a holiday message wrapped up in goofy effects and earnest performances. This cult classic has earned a special place in the hearts of sci-fi fans and holiday movie lovers alike, especially those who love their movies a little bit silly. If you want to see how 1960s sci-fi and Christmas collided in the most wonderfully cheesy way possible, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians is your go-to holiday space adventure. 9. The Time Travelers, 1964. When science gets a little too experimental. Picture this. A group of brilliant scientists invent a time portal, hoping to glimpse the future and unlock the secrets of time travel. But what they get instead is a whole lot of trouble, and a perfect recipe for cheesy sci-fi fun. The Time Travelers kicks off with our intrepid researchers stepping through their experimental gateway, only to find themselves not just in the future, but in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The world has been ravaged by nuclear war, leaving behind mutant creatures, hostile survivors, and eerie landscapes straight out of a low-budget nightmare. What makes this movie so gloriously cheesy? First, the special effects, from smoky fog machines to shaky miniature sets, clearly designed on a shoestring budget. Then there's the acting, with a cast delivering their lines in that classic 1960s earnest but slightly over-the-top style, making even the direst situations feel oddly campy. The story barrels forward with wild scientific jargon, conveniently timed explosions, and plenty of scenes where the heroes narrowly escape death by questionable mutant attacks. And let's not forget the costumes. Shiny silver suits and oddly futuristic helmets that scream homemade sci-fi. Despite, or maybe because of all its quirks, The Time Travelers perfectly captures the spirit of 60s sci-fi bold imagination mixed with unintentional hilarity. It's a nostalgic trip for anyone who loves their space adventures served with a big helping of cheese and a dash of nuclear apocalypse. So buckle up and get ready to laugh, cringe, and cheer for the scientists who dared to peek beyond time, even if the results were totally cheesy. 10. Zontar, The Thing from Venus, 1966. In the glorious era of the 1960s, when sci-fi movies often meant rubber monsters, painted cardboard sets, and dialogue so cheesy it could melt your TV screen, Zontar, The Thing from Venus proudly took its place as a shining beacon of campy alien invasion goodness. Zontar is a slimy, gelatinous creature sent all the way from Venus with one mission: to enslave humanity by turning people into mindless drones through his slimy touch. Picture a walking, oozing blob of goo in a silly mask, wobbling around with the grace of a drunken jellyfish. That's Zontar. The story follows a small American town that suddenly finds itself under the grip of this extraterrestrial menace. As townsfolk mysteriously fall under Zontar's control, a determined scientist and a brave local team up to save the day, armed with scientific jargon, wild speculation, and a lot of over-the-top acting. What really makes Zontar unforgettable isn't just the monster itself but the film's ultra-low-budget charm. The aliens' special effects look like something made by a kid with slime and a plastic mask, and the sets scream community theater production. The awkward pacing and cheesy dialogue only add to its cult appeal. Despite, or maybe because of, its flaws, Zontar, The Thing from Venus is a must-watch for fans of campy sci-fi, and those who love a good, so bad it's good movie night. It's a perfect snapshot of the 60s space craze, an era where imagination ran wild, budgets ran low, and the fun factor ran high. 11. The Eye Creatures, 1965. When eyeballs attack. Imagine a quiet little town suddenly under siege by giant floating eyeballs from outer space. No, it's not a fever dream. It's The Eye Creatures, 1965. One of the cheesiest and most delightfully bizarre sci-fi flicks of the 60s. This low-budget gem kicks off when a mysterious meteorite crashes near a rural community, unleashing strange, sentient eyeballs with tentacles that slither and float through the air. These freaky creatures have one terrifying mission: to capture humans and use them as hosts to reproduce their alien spawn. The result? Hilariously stiff acting, awkward special effects that look like papier-mâché gone wrong, and a plot that's equal parts confusing and entertaining. What really makes The Eye Creatures stand out in the cheesy sci-fi Hall of Fame is the pure absurdity of the monsters themselves. Picture giant eyeballs flapping around on rubber tentacles, glowing eerily under cheap-colored lights, and those iconic scenes of people staring in horror as these alien eyeballs float ominously closer. It's the perfect recipe for camp. Despite its many flaws, this film oozes 1960s charm. It's a nostalgic time capsule of an era when space-themed movies didn't need budgets, logic, or believable effects to captivate audiences. The earnestness of the cast trying to make sense of this eyeball invasion makes it all the more endearing. If you're on the hunt for a sci-fi movie that's equal parts ridiculous and entertaining, The Eye Creatures is a must-watch. Just don't be surprised if you find yourself laughing more than being scared. 12. Space Probe Taurus, 1965. The ultimate cheese fest in outer space. Strap in and prepare for one of the cheesiest low-budget space adventures ever blasted into the cosmos. Space Probe Taurus is a 1965 sci-fi flick that's so wonderfully campy, it's impossible not to love. The story kicks off with a daring mission. A crew aboard the Space Probe Taurus is sent to explore the mysterious planet Venus. But of course, things don't go as smoothly as NASA hoped. Instead of discovering a barren rock, they find an alien world filled with giant lizards, monstrous creatures, and an evil alien race intent on world domination. The special effects? Oh, they're delightfully crude. Think rubber monsters and obviously fake sets that scream 1960s B-movie magic. The acting is charmingly stiff, with dialogue that often veers into unintentionally hilarious territory. And the suspense? Well, it's more like suspense light, peppered with awkward moments and slow pacing that somehow add to the overall cheesy vibe. What really makes Space Probe Taurus stand out is its earnest attempt to deliver a thrilling space adventure, despite having clearly tiny budgets and limited resources. It's the kind of movie where the fun is in watching how they tried so hard to create alien landscapes with minimal means. If you're a fan of campy sci-fi with a side of nostalgia, Space Probe Taurus is a must-watch. It's a perfect example of how 1960s filmmakers dreamed big about space exploration, even if the final product came out a bit goofy. So grab your popcorn, turn off your critical brain, and enjoy the wild ride that is Space Probe Taurus, where the stars shine bright, and the cheese is out of this world. 13. Journey to the Seventh Planet, 1962. Imagine this. A team of brave astronauts embarks on a daring mission to explore the mysterious planet Uranus, the seventh planet from the Sun. But instead of epic battles or high-tech alien invasions, What they get is a trippy, psychedelic adventure straight out of a 1960s acid trip. In Journey to the Seventh Planet, the crew lands on Uranus only to discover a bizarre landscape filled with giant, glowing crystals and strange illusions conjured by an invisible alien intelligence. The astronauts soon realize that their own thoughts and memories are being manipulated to create these hallucinations, including scenes from their childhoods and even loved ones. With low-budget special effects like swirling fog, colored lighting, and some very obvious studio sets, this film captures the perfect blend of earnest ambition and pure campy charm. The slow pacing and the way the astronauts react to these visions add to the movie's cheesy appeal. You half expect them to break into a psychedelic dance number at any moment. Despite the limitations, Journey to the Seventh Planet has a quirky appeal that sci-fi buffs can't help but love. It's less about thrilling action and more about a surreal, mind-bending experience that perfectly captures the experimental spirit of early 60s space cinema. So if you want a sci-fi movie that's equal parts weird, low-budget, and oddly mesmerizing, this trip to Uranus is a must-watch on your cheesy space movie journey. 14. Invasion of the Star Creatures, 1962. Prepare yourself for one of the wildest, weirdest trips into cheesy sci-fi madness with Invasion of the Star Creatures. This 1962 cult classic blasts off with a group of astronauts who crash land on a mysterious alien planet, but instead of finding high-tech civilizations or menacing monsters, they're greeted by bizarre, rubber-suited star creatures who look like they just stepped out of a Saturday morning cartoon. What happens next? The star creatures decide to capture the astronauts for a very strange reason. They want to use them to reproduce. Yes, you read that right. The movie throws logic out the airlock and dives headfirst into goofy alien mating rituals, awkward dialogue, and plenty of campy performances that will have you chuckling all the way to the final frame. From the hilariously stiff acting to the obviously low-budget costumes and sets, Invasion of the Star Creatures is the perfect example of 1960s sci-fi cheese. The kind of movie that's so bad it's absolutely unforgettable. It's the kind of flick you watch with friends for laughs, a big bowl of popcorn, and maybe a few fun drinks. If you love space adventures that don't take themselves too seriously, and enjoy seeing how far filmmakers would go with limited resources, Invasion of the Star Creatures is a must-watch on your cheesy sci-fi space movie list. And that wraps up our countdown of the cheesiest sci-fi space movies of the 1960s. From alien invasions to rubber monsters and low-budget cosmic chaos, these cult classics prove that sometimes the best movies are the cheesiest ones. Now it's your turn. Which of these wonderfully weird films was your favorite? Did we miss one of your all-time cheesy sci-fi favorites? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from fellow retro movie fans. If you had fun on this journey through vintage space cinema, give this video a like. And if you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a trip through Hollywood's most entertaining oddities. Until next time, stay curious and stay cheesy.